Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. I had a long day moving into my classroom, setting things up. I walk into my class and start putting in my refrigerator and some of my teaching supplies, and it's literally filled with a bunch of freshman football players. They've been using my class because I'm one of the new teachers there as a depot or a housing station, if you will, for these football players and all their gear. So it kind of brought me back to the old football days of those nasty smelling pads, man. But yeah, quite interesting. It's been a long day, so I'm going to try to run through this as fast as I can. But got some good news to cover. We're going to start with this one from Gemini. And Gemini is kind of interesting how they're kind of approaching things here. So obviously they had their tweet yesterday talking about how exciting it is that they're getting ready to launch or list XRP. And it's not a relist, it's an actual listing. So Gemini says, we have exciting news. XRP is now available for deposits on Gemini. Trading support will follow extra soon. Obviously, this is big marketing campaign. So obviously this is good for business for them. Just another corridor for people to be able to accumulate and get into XRP, which is huge. Yasan had put this up, says, wow, current price of XRP on Gemini. And it was like a $1.10 glitch, if you will. Moon Lambo says, either that or an excellent arbitrage opportunity. So yeah, I wonder if anybody was able to actually sell at that price. Obviously, if we come over here and look at what we're looking at, we're currently sitting at 63 cents on coin, according to CoinGecko here. So yeah, if you could flip that, man, that's solid. But Bill Morgan had put this up, so they did this. I'm gonna try to mute it real quick. Let me try to mute this because it could be a copyright. But yeah, they put up this video right here, and it has like some like pump up music, trolling the heck out of Chairman Gensler in the SEC, talking about XRP's victory and Ripple's victory in litigation. So it says excited to announce XRP is now available for trading on Gemini. That was 6 hours ago. Bill Morgan says, not only listed XRP but mocked the SEC and Gensler. Your attorneys must have a certain view about the SEC's appeal prospects. So we're going to touch on how relevant and important this statement is right here, because JD, Jeremy Hogan, and the rest of the community members have been speculating and conversating based on the information they have from litigation and Judge Torres' summary judgment that shows that Judge Torres's verdict, if you will, is like bulletproof, leak proof. I mean, it's sound. So they're saying, even if they did get this motion for interlocutory appeal approved, if you will, all it does is add more strength in Judge Torres's position to argue her case in the sense of why she decided the way she decided in the SC versus Ripple case when it comes to XRP being a security. So they're talking about literally further solidifying the inevitable. So we're going to touch on that. But what's interesting is I didn't put it on here, but JD had put out a tweet saying that he would hold true to his word and he would go down to New York and represent the Winklevoss twins in their listing of XRP on their platform at his own expense. So obviously, on top of potentially Gemini, the Tyler and or the Winklevoss brothers, legal representation may not see any issues with them listing XRP, and obviously that shows XRP is on the up and up. It's more validation. But then again, you have the likes of JD. We've seen John Deaton's influence in this SC versus Ripple case. So imagine what he can do in regards of helping the Winklevoss twins, prove their case in New York if there's any issues. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I put Moon Lambo on here. It says, new XRP list, and XRP has never had so much support in its entire existence. Pair that with legal clarity, more people and institutions getting into crypto in general, and an inevitable BTC ETF. The next euphoric bull run is going to be fun. I mean, I couldn't agree more, man. And it just reading that kind of gives me the chills, man, because there are so many things lining up. So much, it's like compounding interest of just positivity when it comes to being an XRP community member, but just in the crypto space in general, man. We talked about, I think it's like 8 spot Bitcoin ETF applications. Obviously, Kathy Wood and Ark Invest, I think theirs is like up first. I think the 13th, yeah, that's what it was. August 13th is one of their things. Obviously, we were talking about and speculating that the SEC and Chairman Gensler may push it down the line. I think January is like the official hard deadline. But then again, when it comes to the other spot Bitcoin ETFs, I think it's around March 2024 when those deadlines are up. But all these applications are just as similar as BlackRock is. So we know that they're going to approve BlackRock, right? Especially when they made Coinbase their custody partner and surveillance partner, if you will. So it's just a matter of when this thing really happens. So like you said, with clarity, you know, XRP not being a security, you have spot Bitcoin ETFs. Obviously, that's going to bring in a lot of institution, a lot more capital. We're talking hundreds of millions, billions, trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline that's going to be coming in Bitcoin alone. I mean, it's going to be nuts, man. When it came to XRP hitting I think it was 340 something, between $3.40 some cents to $3.80 some cents, there was only like 1.5 million accounts, XRP accounts open at the time. This was back in 2018. That has grown tremendously on top of the exponential growth of Ripple, the company, the development on the XRPL. Obviously, XRP being declared not a security, there's just so much, like I said, compounding interest of just sheer positivity in the camp of XRP alone, and even in the greater market and crypto. So it's going to be quite exciting. Moving on here. This from Cowboy Crypto says, hashtag XRP is a digital asset commodity because the trial judge said so. This is the only digital asset I'm aware of that has that clarity moving forward. So that's what Attorney Jeremy Hogan said in this Twitter Spaces here, pretty much solidifying what JD's been talking about. It's like, we may not get, a bill passed before, by the end of this year. We may not see anything in regards of a framework or some regulations when it comes to crypto until 2025. That's a possibility, right? But we have something to land on, as in the summary judgment of Judge Torres in the SEC versus Ripple. So obviously the security status of XRP not being a security and how she wrote out her judgment. That's what we have. That's what's setting precedent. So what if that's all we have to ride on, for the next year and a half, 2 years? I mean, what does that mean for the digital asset XRP? What does that mean for the XRP community and Ripple, the company? And then when it comes to this whole appeal thing, this is when we're going to tie in Meta Lawman and JD. So we're going to start with Meta Lawman right here. It says, SC Ripple interlocutory appeal analysis. This post will address what I see as Ripple's options in responding to the SC's request to Judge Torres for certification of interlocutory appeal. Option 1, oppose the motion to certify the appeal. Ripple could say that the decision is obviously correct, so an interlocutory appeal to the Second Circuit just to confirm that fact would be a waste of time and would be inefficient because of the high likelihood of yet another appeal to come after the trial of Garland House and Larson. Option 2, agree with the SEC that the interlocutory appeal is appropriate. While unlikely, this response would actually not shock me. Appeals are a virtual certainty in this case. The only question then is whether the appeal process will start now or a year or more from now after the trial of Garland House and Larson. So that goes into what we were just talking about. What if this whole appeal process does take, year, 2 years, 2+ years? How much growth is going to happen on the XRPL with the digital asset XRP and Ripple, the company? For us, we're sitting in the driver's seat for once. So it's showtime for us. It says option 2A, agree that interlocutory appeal is appropriate, but add that the one claim that the SEC won on institutional sales should also be certified for a cross appeal by Ripple. The logic for option 2A being that if the Second Circuit reversed the SEC's win on the institutional sale claim, then everybody is saved the trouble of going through a penalty phase, and there would be no need for a trial on aiding and abetting the institutional sales. What do I think Ripple will do? I think Ripple will go for option number 1 above, oppose the request for interlocutory appeal. There are 3 reasons for this. 1, Ripple does not want to agree with the premise that there is a substantial grounds for difference of opinion on Judge Torres' ruling, which is part of the legal standard for certifying an interlocutory appeal. Ripple's position is that Judge Torres' ruling is clearly correct on secondary market sales of XRP and consistent with decades of precedents. 2, while highly unlikely, there is a non-zero chance that a crypto law could pass Congress and be signed into law. The legislations could conceivably characterize the original institutional sales of XRP as not security transactions because the institutional buyers of those tokens did not receive equity or legal rights to participate in profits generated by Ripple in exchange for their money. Immediately a long shot. 3, there's a chance, fill in your own percent, that a new administration will arrive on the scene in January of 2025 with a very different view of the SEC's approach to crypto enforcement actions. That new administration with new leadership at the SEC could either immediately dismiss the case or settle on terms favorable for Ripple. For these reasons, I believe Ripple is more likely to choose a slower route, therefore oppose the interlocutory appeal. What do I think Judge Torres would do? I believe this is a much closer call than most people think. Normally, requests to certify interlocutory appeals are given very little chance of success, but Judge Rakoff's decision in the Terraform Labs case makes it far more likely that Judge Torres will take the unusual step and certify the interlocutory appeal. I will give you my final prediction on what Judge Torres will do after the briefing of the motion to certify has been completed. That briefing should take about a month. So without going too far into it, I want you to remember this right here. It says, but Judge Rakoff's decision in the Terraform Labs case makes it far more likely that Judge Torres will take the unusual step and certify the interlocutory appeal. And JD kind of puts out this point as to what I was saying. They're going to it can be utilized to strengthen her position, right? So right here it says, everyone needs to understand what this is and isn't. This is only a pre-motion letter. It's asking the judge permission to file a formal motion asking for her to allow the SEC to then ask the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to accept an early appeal. It's just like when I filed a pre-motion letter asking permission to file a motion to intervene. Granting the pre-motion letter does not mean she will grant the underlying motion, as in my case. I expect Judge Torres to grant this motion. This will then allow her to even more fully explain her reasoning and to further and to also further make it appeal proof. It will also allow her an opportunity to address anything Rakoff said. This is all we need to see right here. All those words that I was speaking, right? All that legal jargon. This is all we need to see right here. Appeal proof. Further explain her reasoning. There we go. Shout out JD, Metal Lawman, Jeremy Hogan, and the legal minds in the community. They made this process super bearable, truly bearable. So shout out to them. A lot of love to them. Alex Cobb had put this up. He says, why hold XRP? Puts up this fat list of partnerships and connections to Ripple, the company. It's crazy. Obviously, when it comes to the growth of Ripple, a lot of the use case and utility of XRP, it's gonna grow exponentially as well. It's massive, and this is just, we can consider this a short list of the things we know, right? What about all the stuff that they're going to roll out that these companies didn't want to be brought to light because of the SEC lawsuit? It's showtime, baby. Tony Edwards from Thinking Crypto is responding to Gary Gensler and the Securities and Exchange Commission. It says, today we announced that crypto asset trading platform Bittrex Inc. and its co-founder and former CEO William Shahara agreed to settle charges that they operated an unregistered national securities exchange broker and clearing agency. Tony says, once again, scumbag regulator Gary Gensler and the SEC engaged in regulation by enforcement. They go around shaking down companies for fees like the mob. They continue not to work with Congress on clear regulations. Bittrex is another exchange that was forced to leave the U.S. Crazy, man. Even JD's touching on it. He says, hey, SEC enforcement director, you pat yourself on the back for this settlement. How many investors did you protect from the settlement? Is this one similar to the protection you provided for the BlockFi settlement? You know the case where the SEC became one of the largest creditors in the BlockFi bankruptcy ahead of retail investors? Are you proud of that result as well, considering no one has more clarity in the space? One final question. This is for Grewal. What's this? Let me get this right. It's Gerber S. Grewal. Are you willing to answer whether the Hammond speech was screened and approved by the SEC's ethics office? Don't you think you should clean up your own house before you clean up Wall Street or Crypto Avenue? Or are you guys above the law? How about you come on Crypto Law US and answer a few questions, since you are a civil servant with nothing to hide? Yeah, the tragic thing about it is they will literally, they're reading this. If they're not reading it personally, they have their little minions reading all this stuff. So they are highly aware of this stuff. They're not even gonna, they will bat their eyes. They will have a hard time sleeping at night, in my opinion, whether they, put on this facade or not. but they won't address it. We all know it. It's crazy. They're just going to sweep it under the rug, get through their terms or whatever, and just do what they got to do to have their career advancements and please their masters. Remember, they're just puppets. It's crazy. Last two right here. So this is DAI really hitting some stuff on the head. So this is James Seifert and Tony Edwards from Thinking Crypto. He has a little podcast right here. It says DAI is correcting James here. And I think I should play the clip first. Let me play the clip first, and then we'll see what he says.
And let kind of Bitcoin and Ethereum be their own thing, and then really go after everything else. And we'll see how that goes. Obviously, it didn't go great with Ripple. And if you ask me, I would have said Ripple, if anything is a security, Ripple's about as close as it gets. Like a lot of the other cryptos have less security-like characteristics than Ripple does.
Okay, so I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the idea is that part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk. So the issuance model is that we will fundraise. Suppose that we hand out X Ether through the fundraiser.
Long story short, clearly a securities violation, right? So you got to remember, you have these disguised wells that Joe Lubin was talking about. We're going to cover Joe Lubin right here, right? So you have these disguised wells that Joe Lubin was saying, hey, yeah, you can use multiple, identities to pretty much shield and disguise your purchases so you don't, flag the system. But we know that these disguised wells hold an astronomical amount of Ethereum and control, in a sense, to have a major voting power, if you will, in the network. And obviously now they move from proof of work to proof of stake. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to that. But when we're talking about this thing, we're talking about how the influence of Judge Torres's verdict in the SEC versus Ripple case when it comes to security status of XRP, how it can set precedent and have negative influence for these Ethereum, initial coin offering Ethereum disguised wells and Joe Lubin in them. There's just a lot of, I would say scary things that, couldn't truly, they should be sleeping terrible at night, knowing that this is a possibility that the hammer can be dropped on them, right? So DAI right here, because remember, Joe Lubin's talking in this video, and I'm actually, let me play it so you can hear it real quick.
Some small amounts of money and some make big amounts of money. So the consulting arm, multi-tens of billions of dollars. We do token launches. Have you heard of token launches?
Token launches. You've heard of token launches? So check this out. Multi-tens of billions. These multi-tens of billions. We're talking a crap ton of money. Securities violations, right? Crazy. So DAI right here is talking about he's correcting that James guy says, correction, James. If anything was a securities issuance, Ethereum ICO was. This has never been about the law or anything else. It's been about creating a monopoly for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It has been coordinated with the government, crypto pundits and media, traditional media, and on and on and on. This guy and his whole team of legal analysts didn't miss this. They pretend not to see it or that we are somehow past that. And don't get me started on the disguised money laundering. I wonder why none of these legal minds that constantly weigh in on XRP's legal status have never commented on Ethereum fundraising videos or Joseph Lubin disguised video. Boom. I mean, literally said it all right there. And he even goes, is that tens of billions of illegal security issuance per the Ripple ruling? Hey, you guys, it's showtime. It's showtime for the XRP community. It's showtime for the space. There's so much positivity, even in the light of a lot of negativity, these negative narratives that come out, a lot of positivity that's coming in our space. And clearly we're getting closer to happening in 2024. The closer we get, all this stuff is just going to compound on itself. And we're going to have, like Moon Lambo said, a euphoric bull run. It's going to be massive, man. We're currently sitting at a $1.2 trillion market cap. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index sitting at a 51. That's all I have for you. Make sure you come to the Crypto is Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto is Key 1. I really appreciate your support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.